Today I'm going to explain about LLM entrance question subjective, which is already um, done by previous batch, old subjective question paper solution. From that, I'm going to explain about question and with answer. Let's start. Question: discuss the merit and demerits of precedent as a source of law. Precedent safeguard precedent safeguard establish legal principles. It prevents absurd shifts in legal doctrine. Once again, precedent safeguards establish legal principles. It prevents absurd shift in legal doctrine, encouraging incremental changes and stability in the law. The preservation of legal principles contributes to the rule of law and protects individual rights. Precedent as a source of law offers several advantages that contribute to the stability and consistency of legal system. Let's explore these benefits. Consistency and predictability. 1. Consistency and predictability. 2. Guidelines for future cases. 3. Time saving. 4. Certainty of law. 5. Flexibility. Consistency and predictability. Explanation. Judicial precedent provides a framework for consistent decision making. When courts follow established precedents, it ensures that similar cases are treated similarly. This predictability allows lawyers to advise their clients with confidence, knowing that past decisions guide future outcomes. Guideline for future cases. Precedents act as guidelines for judges when deciding new cases by referring to previous rulings. Judges can apply legal principles consistently. This helps maintain fairness and equality in the justice system. Time saving. Once a question is decided through precedent, it becomes settled law. Subsequent cases with similar issues can rely on the established framework, saving time and effort for judges, lawyers, and litigants. Certainty of law. Explanation. Following precedents bring certainty to legal interpretations. Lawyers and individuals can reasonably anticipate how the law will be applied in specific situations. Certainty fosters trust in the legal system and promotes stability. Flexibility. Although precedents provide guidance, they are not rigid rules. Supreme Court itself can revisit and modify precedents when necessary from the benches of higher authority. This flexibility allows the law to adapt to changing societal needs and evolving circumstances. Fill the gap of law in instance where legit, sorry in instance where legislation fails to provide clarity on the applicable law for a specific case or neglects to address the issue together. Precedent may be established in accordance with the constitution to fill the legal gap. In summary, judicial precedent balances tradition with adaptability, ensures a fair and reliable legal system for all. Disadvantages of precedents as a source of law. That one is advantages. Advantages is consistency and predictability, and guidelines for the future cases. Time consuming, uh, certainty of law and flexibility, as well as fill the gap of law. That is advantages. Disadvantages of precedent as a source of law um, is inflexibility, uncertain, unjust outcome, limitation on judicial discretion, stifling, stifling, stifling innovation. Disadvantages of precedent as a source of law. Certainly, precedent as a source of law has both advantages and disadvantages. Let's delve into the disadvantages. Let's delve into the disadvantages. Inflexibility. Explanation of inflexibility. Precedent can sometimes be inflexible and prevent the law from evolving to reflect changes in society or new circumstances. This can result in outdated or unjust outcomes. Uncertainty, because precedent is based on previous decisions, there can be uncertainty about what the law actually is. This can lead to confusion and difficulty in predicting how a court will rule in a given case. Unjust outcomes. Precedent can also result in unjust outcomes if a previous decision was based on flawed or discrimination or discriminatory reasons. In such cases, relying on precedent can perpetuate injustice rather than rectifying them. Limitation on judicial discretion. Precedents can limit a judge's ability to use their own discretion in deciding a case. If a previous decision sets a strict rule, a judge may be unable to deviate from that rule, even if they believe it would lead to a more just outcome. Stifling, stifling innovation. Relying too heavily on precedent can sometimes discourage innovations and creative legal thinking. Lawyers and judges may be hesitant to push the boundaries of the law if they fear that doing so will conflict with established precedent. While precedent has some clear advantages, it also has some drawbacks that should be taken into account when making legal decisions. Discuss the concept of vested and contingent ownership. Question number 2. Discuss the concept of vested and contingent ownership. Ownership is a legal right to use, possess, and give away a thing. Ownership can be tangible, such as personal property and land, or it can be of intangible things, such as intellectual property rights. Ownership in jurisprudence refers to the legal relationship between a person and an object they possess. It encompasses a bundle of rights associated with that object, which can be enforced against the whole world, not just specific individuals. The idea of ownership followed the idea of possession so long as the people were wandering from place to place and had no settled place of residence. They had no sense of ownership. The idea began to grow when they started planting trees, cultivating lands, and building their homes. Previously, there was no difference between possession and ownership. With the advancement of civilization, distinction was made clearly in Roman law. Ownership can be defined as Austin. Ownership means a right which avails against everyone who is subject to the law, conferring the right to put thing to user of indefinite nature. Key characteristics of ownership according to Austin: indefinite in point of users. Owners can use the property as they desire. Unrestricted in point of disposition. Owners can transfer or dispose of the property. 3. Unlimited in point of duration. Ownership endures indefinitely. Salmon. Ownership in its most comprehensive signification denotes the relations between a person and right that is vested in him. Holland. Ownership is a plenary control over an object. Agreeing to him or owner has three kinds of power, that is possession, enjoyment, and ownership. Ownership. Concept of vested and contingent ownership. Ownership can be either vested or contingent. Ownership can be said to be vested when the owner title is already perfect. On the other hand, Ownership is contingent when the owner title is as yet imperfect, but it is capable of becoming perfect in future on the fulfillment of some conditions. Vested ownership. Vesting is a legal term that refers to the point in time when the rights and interests arising from legal ownership of a property are acquired by some person. It creates an immediately secured right of present or future deployment. One has a vested right to an asset that cannot be taken away by any third party, even though one may not yet possess the asset. According to law, vested ownership has the complete and full ownership on the property. Contingent ownership. In contingent ownership, the property is owned conditionally. It means that the investigative facts are incomplete, but it may be completed in the future. Till then, the ownership is contingent, and when the required condition is fulfilled, it becomes complete or vested. Third question: what is personality? What are the theories related to personality? Discuss. Person is a being who is capable of holding rights and duties. Person in law means a human or non-human entity that have been provided with entitlement of rights and duties. The word person is derived from Latin word persona, which means the marks worn by Greek actor. Which means the marks worn by Greek actor. In Roman law, person is synonym to caput, caput, meaning statutes. Caput, 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 meanings status. In philosophical sense, person in is the rational substratum or quality of a human being. In in anthropological or biological sense, the term has been used to mean as right and one of the species. In law, it means a right and duty bearing unit. Definition given by jurist Savigny: person is the subject or bearer of a right. Holland: person are not only the subject of rights but also duties. Gray: an entity to which rights and duties may be attributed. Kelson: whole sum of rights and duties, itself a person. Theories of corporate personality: fiction theory, realist theory, bracket theory, concession theory, purpose theory. Friction theory, realist theory, bracket theory, concession theory, purpose theory. Friction theory: a corporation is clothed with a legal personality. The personality of a corporation is different from that of its members. The fictitious personality of a corporation has also a will of its own, which is different from that of its members. The fiction theory was propounded by Savigny, Holland, and Salmon, and so are supporters of the theory. The friction theory was propounded by Savigny, Holland, and Salmon are supporters of this theory. Realist theory: this theory propounds that a corporation has a real existence. The existence of corporations is real and not based on any fiction. This theory was propounded by Gayatri. Corporation is not imagination but reality. Bracket theory: it is also called symbolist theory, which argues that juristic personality is only a symbol to facilitate the working of the corporate bodies. Only the member of the corporations are person in real sense, and a bracket is put over them to indicate that they are treated as a single unit when they form themselves into a corporation. This theory was associated with Eyring concession theory. Juristic personality is a concession guaranteed to corporation by the state. Corporation as a legal person has great importance because it is recognized by the state or law. It is entirely at the discretion of the state to recognize A juristic person. Supporters of this theory are Savigny, Salmon, and Dicey. Supporter of this theory are Savigny, Salmon, and Dicey. Purpose theory. Corporations are treated as person for certain specific purposes. The main implication of this theory is that law protects certain purpose and the interest of individual. The main exponent of this theory was Bridge. Question number 4. Creative writing. Not to exceed 300 words annually compulsory in English. Nepal has adopted the federal constitution. The very objectives of this federal constitution is to incorporate the basic principle of unity in diversity. Federalism believes in sharing state resources and state power at the local, regional, and central levels. It believes the diversity of language, culture, and religion as a strength rather than a weakness. It believes in these diversities as a beauty rather than a problem. The Constitution has been designed to address these values by introducing proportional representations of all the major clusters and communities. State power has been distributed and divided at different levels of government to address the regional aspirations of the people. In this context, how do you assess the new constitution? Do you think it will work as anticipated by our constitution makers? Do you think it will ensure speedy and balanced development along with peace and harmony in Nepal? Discuss in your own language. Nepal has adopted the federal constitution. The very objectives of this federal constitution is to incorporate the basic principle of unity in diversity. True, Nepal is a multi-ethnic, multilingual, multi-religious country. Certain caste groups, Brahmin and Kshetri, certain language-speaking groups, Khas Nepali, Khars Nepali, certain religious groups, Hindu, and certain religion people, Hill, have occupied the important state institutions, and the rest, like indigenous nationalities, Madhesi, Dalits, are excluded and marginalized. They have been excluded not only politically but also economically, culturally, and linguistically. Therefore, the excluded and marginalized groups are in a state of statelessness in their own country. By the end of the 20th century, the Nepali state was in the grip of one social segment, the Brahmin Kshetri from the hill region. Through they constituted about 30% of the total population. They held 80% of the people of the office level entry positions in the government service. Likewise, discriminatory practices were visible in government jobs. Madhesi filled only 5% of the government jobs. They are inadequately represented in army, police, and other institutions of the state compared to other ethnic communities. Thus, the sharp systematic inequalities among caste and ethnic groups have prevailed. Such a condition of inequality is one of the reasons for the Maoist insurgency launched in 1996. In this context, to address such conditions, federalism is adopted in Nepal. Recognition of ethnic diversity in the federation is taken as an important element of building an inclusive state, but the federalism adopted in Nepal does not address the issue of identity and proportionate inclusion raised by excluded communities through self-rule and autonomy. Multi-ethnic federalism may help to address two historically pending issues raised by indigenous nationalities and Madhesi communities, an issue of self-rule or autonomy and inclusion, since such federalism creates a condition of self-rule and shared rule. Self-rule is to address the issues of autonomy and recognitions. Identity and shared rules is to address an issue of participating in decision-making level of national issues. It may be truly a device to address other identity-related issues, either either as issues of language and culture through accommodation so as to promote equality and coexistence. Accommodating diversity depends democratic values and heals inherent in interethnic rupture in a multi-ethnic state, as it is argued that federalism arises from its potential as a way of peacefully reconciling unity and diversity within a single political system. It is possible from multi-ethnic federalism in a multi-ethnic state. Such federalism becomes truly a function of society through self-rule and autonomy, not of the constitution only. Thus, multi-ethnic federalism is a genuine device to generate unity in diversity in a multi-ethnic country like Nepal. Federalism believes in sharing state resources and state power at the local, regional, and central levels. It believes the diversity of language, culture, and religion as a strength rather than a weakness. It believes in these diversities as a beauty rather than a problem. Multi-ethnic federalism in Nepal has been found to be occurred as a process of disaggregation, the unitary structure of a state into several self-governing territorial units as sub-state national groups or nationalities who wanted to express their distinctive identities through smaller directly accountable, self-governing political units able to give expression to historical, social, linguistic, or cultural identities. The Constitution has been designed to address these values by introducing the proportional representation of all the major clusters and communities. State power has been distributed and divided at different level of government to address the regional aspirations of the people. In this context, federalism has become an attractive method to move towards ensuring ethno-cultural justice to the minorities. However, introducing federalism alone will not be enough to achieve equality among the people. Types, objectives, and context of federalism matter the most to determine if it is going to work for achieving the larger goal of ethnic justice, peace, and development. But there is challenges that it will work as anticipated by our constitution makers. The move to transitions from a unitary to a federal systems in Nepal was not without difficulty. As the unitary systems of government was turned into the federal system, Nepal faced a number of obstacles in the early years of federalism. Nepal will face new challenges if it does not strengthen governance and address lingering issues. For example, the divisions of power, particularly between the federal and provincial administrations, has been a thorny issue. According to research conducted by External Democracy Promotion, people are divided about the existing power distributions, and there is often conflict between different levels of government. The federal government retains important executive powers, but provincials and municipal government are yet to build sufficient institutional capacity to execute all of the functions, including service delivery, delegated to them. Schedule 9 of Nepal Constitution lists the power that the federal, provincial, and local governments have. The functions allocated to the three-tier government, however, overlap. For example, confusion exists under the new constitution over the delineations of jurisdiction between federal, provinces, and municipal entities, owing to the rights to collect taxes granted to all tiers of government. Furthermore, all three levels of government share powers such as the administration of drinking water, the recording of personal events such as birth, death, and marriage, as well as the maintenance of ancient monuments and archaeological sites. The implementations of the federal system in Nepal has already proven expensive due to the need for additional governance infrastructure. Furthermore, the country subnational units are significantly reliant on the federal government for budgetary resources. Thank you. God bless you all. Please subscribe my channel.